Damn, and he was just 40 shifts from retirement. Hello, Interwebs! I'm here to talk about the latest episode of Star Wars Andor, Episode 9, Nobody's Listening! And as per usual, as I've been saying literally every week, Star Wars Andor is just fantastic. I don't know what I can say. I wish I could be like, oh, this episode was bad, this episode was awful, like, just to say something slightly different in terms of my reviews, but like, no. This is another excellent episode of Star Wars Andor. It is clearly, this one is much more of a transitional episode, getting us from the first episode of this kind of prison arc that we're on with Andor to what will probably be the prison break and sort of explosion that we get next episode that they're clearly leading to. It's kind of very similar to the 3-episode arc that we got with the heist storyline a few episodes back. So this is sort of in the middle of that, so you can kind of still feel like they're building it. And I could see how people could say that was a little bit slower pace for them, and I certainly understand that. But for me, this was another just fantastic episode that was really drawing out this idea and focusing on two things. Again, the dehumanization that happens to prisoners and people around the Empire by systems within the Empire. And that's been a recurring theme throughout the show, but it really was extra honed in on here. But then even more importantly, what this episode was really, really focusing in on was the people that are within these fascistic systems, these dehumanizing systems, who think that they can change these systems by working within them, that have this belief that by if they just say the right things, if they work hard enough, they can really just change it if they really just try, without realizing that when you work within these systems, the whole point of them is just to dehumanize, to just make profit, to just grind every single piece of worth, quote unquote, out of somebody and not seeing someone as a person. And that's what they are set up to do, and no amount of working within that system is going to change that, when that is the entire point of it. And so it's just honing in on people like Mon Mothma who really think like, oh, I can change the system, and just seeing how futile it is. And then characters like Andy Serkis, who is very much doing the same in his own way, and what it takes to get these people to the point of like, nah, all right, fuck it, I'm done with these systems. How far do they have to go? And we get to see that a little bit more with Mon Mothma, to where she's being pushed a little bit more, and the indignities that she has to suffer, as well as the danger that she puts herself in, as well as just the awful state of being that people are willing to put up with, and where's that line drawn for them. And I loved all of it. Let's talk about some specifics. We start off with an intense freaking scene with Deirdre Miro interrogating Bix. And God, this was all awful. Like, everything Deirdre's saying was just trying to get into Bix's head. It's like, are you a fish? Are you a thief? The worst thing you can do is bore me. Like, it was really intense, and it almost got me. I'm like, oof, I would probably be like, you know what, screw it, she's made a convincing argument. If I'm gonna be tortured, might as well just let you know. And it also reveals how much she knows, how smart she is to like make and connect all these dots. Like, it just shows how tactical Deirdre is, because one of the things that I've been thinking in previous episodes was that Deirdre might have been on the wrong track, or like getting things right by sort of connecting the wrong dots, I think is probably the better way to put it. But here it's like, no, she has been very clear and precise about what she is connecting and information she's been able to find, and she just lays it all out to Bix, and it was intense. But then Bix, power to her, like standing up for her convictions and not giving in information. And then the torture that she receives, the animal, like, that's such an inventive and fucked up torture method of like the children's screams of alien like monsters that like mess with people's heads, and like, oh my God, I can't even imagine. That's just so like Eldritch horror nonsense. That's like incredibly fucked up, and I'm terrified to see what happened to Bix from that. Just a great job by the writers to come up with a creative way to like really get under your skin, without even showing anything. They literally put headphones on a girl, and it was one of the most intense sequences in the episode. It just showcases how good writing can really draw out that tension. We also see Deirdre back on the ISB, and we get to see some moments again where she shows how smart she is and how she's able to set up these plots and plans to try to capture the rebels and possibly Luthen. She sort of created this idea of like tricking them into having to go after this ship. I'm curious to see where that's going to go. But then we also get Karn, and again, this like indignities that he is suffering under his mother. Again, very like incel vibes from him, because his mom only sees him as an investment. Like, yes, there's an element of like he should show her like some love and affection, but like she only ever sees him as a object, just something that she can like, she puts out in the world and then is able to like get back some honor for her family or sort of reverence for her family, help move up the family, and she doesn't really see him as a person, and so of course he doesn't really respect her. He's just seen as a clog in a machine, even by his own mother. It's really you can really just see again just the simmering like desire for some meaning in his life that he goes to Deirdre, and you can see how creepy it is that he's stalked her, how he's following her. It's really messed up. But he's just so desiring like just a purpose, and just this is his only way out, and he's willing to risk everything to do so in a very, again, creepy way, stalking a girl. And I like, he was like, I could put you away, but he's very convincing in his speechifying. We also then get Mon Mothma's storyline, which again, I spoke about this earlier, but the sequence where she is trying to speak in the Senate to everybody and say, look, the Imperial overreach is a big problem, and you just see all the lights going out because no one's really listening or giving a crap. Hey, look, it's like the name of the episode is a theme. And so it was just like, yeah, what do you think, Mon Mothma? Do you really think that the Senate, this ineffectual body that is clearly there's just no one even there, barely showing up, is going to you're going to pass some legislation to stop Emperor Palpatine, freaking devil man himself? Like, no, but like she just is so just... she so believes in like, oh, I can do this without having to dirty my hands. She just does not want to dirty her hands at all, and she has to. It's the only way to make things happen, because this system is never going to change unless you change it from the outside, unless you tear it down. But she is so unwilling to do that at this point, and I like that she realizes that she eventually, to sort of hide this debt that she is owed that could clearly tie her back to funding the rebels, that she is going to have to literally dirty your hands by working with some, we don't really know who it is yet, but clearly someone of ill repute who she's going to have to owe a favor to, I'm sure, in order to get that loan, and have to do something awful in order to hide and protect herself. Again, you have to dirty your hands if you're really going to fight these systems, and we'll sort of see how dirty her hands are going to have to get in order to do so. Will she have to sacrifice her morals? And I'm not saying that's what you necessarily always have to do, but the situation she's in is somewhat necessitating it, and it just showcases you can't really stay the good, clean person in these situations. We then, but then the meat of this episode was everything to do with the prison. I spoke about last episode how freaking anxiety-inducing this prison is, but this episode just heightened it a little bit more, even though it was sort of less obvious, because you just see the dehumanization that goes on here, and just how people are just trying to have to figure out as much information as they can through the lack of information that they get. Like the fact that they all have to like wait for hours in this like in between liminal space while they're waiting to go back to their like crappy little beds. And they don't have any reason why, but as we learn later, it is literally because the Empire killed all of the people on a level, and the reason they did that is because they weren't letting people out, and the people on that level realized that, and so they said, fuck it, we have to fight back. So, because they realize they will never escape. It's all just a lie. No one ever gets out. And it's clearly that's, once you're in the system, you never leave it. And it reminds me of, in the United States today, our prison system, like, we do let people out of our prison system, but like, the way prison systems have, once you are in prison once, you have a stigma on you. It's hard for you to get a job after that point, and so you may have to end up reverting back to crime, and then ultimately you end back up in the prison system again, because it's the only place that you are able to survive, because of this stigma attached to you. It's the only place that you're allowed to go. Some people, like, literally try to go into prison just be able to have a food and bed, and it just reminds me of, like, in the United States, once you're in the prison system, you're stuck there, and how it disproportionately affects people of color, specifically the black community. But and something very much evoked in this episode, and just how dehumanizing it is, and how they're just willing to just kill everybody. You're never going to escape. And they don't really give a shit. And I like that being mirrored in Andy Serkis' character, who, by the way, there's some theories that they may have used like his DNA to like clone Snoke, because Andy Serkis played Snoke as well. I would love to see that connection. That'd be a weird one to make the connection to, especially since my theory is that the baby Yoda is leading to Snoke in some way, shape, or form in The Mandalorian, but we'll see how that all turns out. But anyways, that leads to Andy Serkis sort of like, he just does not want to do anything. He's like, look, I can get out in just a little bit. I only have 200 more shifts. But then he sees this old man who is just, he's 40 shifts from retirement. He just literally worked to death, and he was never going to escape anyways. And that just, when Andy Serkis realizes that he's like, all right, fuck it. Now I'm ready to fight back and to stage just what we're going to probably learn is a prison riot in order to try to get out, because otherwise they're all going to die in here anyway. So might as well say fuck it and fight back. It's just, that end moment of just how powerful that was, of like Andy Serkis. This guy has been like, nope, I'm not going to help you. I just want to focus on getting my job and then getting out of here. That's all I want to do. I want to work within this system. I can play it and get out. Realizing that you can't win in this system. You're never going to escape it. And being like, all right, then fuck it. It's like a microcosm of the entire themes of the show, just in his character. And I really loved it. Like, goddamn, this show is so good. I love it so much. That's my review. What did you think, though, of Nobody's Listening here, of the 9th episode of Star Wars Andor? I am adoring the show front to back. I'd love to hear your thoughts, though. But beyond that, thank you so much for listening. And I hope you all, my friends, live long and prosper.